So good Woch. We're on Motzei Shabbos now. Be'ezus Hashem starting a whole new Mishnah. What happens if again the house is on fire? Chas v'shalom, house on fire, and how much food are you supposed to save? From now on, for the next few days, we're going to learn about the halachas and the importance of Shabbos food, the details about Lechem Mishnah, all kinds of interesting facts. Are you allowed to do things beharoma? Basically, can you kind of play games when it comes to halacha within the parameters of halacha or not? All this is more will be discovered Be'ezus Hashem today. Let's stay here in the Mishnah. The Mishnah is Metzilin Mazon Gimel Seudas. The shir is Le'ilu Nishmas, my father, Menachem ben Akiva, Latzlochas Vehatzolas Kol Klal Yisrael, soldiers, the Chatufim, everybody else. Says the Elige Mishnah, Metzilin Mazon Gimel Seudos. Haroi le'odom le'odom, haroi le'beima le'beima. Which means, one is allowed to salvage out of the fire, mazoin, food, enough for 3 meals. Haroi le'odom le'odom. Whatever can be eaten by human beings, can be eaten and should be saved for human beings, enough for 3 meals. Haroi le'beima le'beima. The Ritva points out that animals do not eat shalosh sudas. They don't eat 3 meals on Shabbos, but you're allowed to take out of your house enough food that should be sufficient for the animal on Shabbos. Basically, it seems like there's some kind of limitation over here. And the question is, why is the Mishnah limiting a person whose house is on fire to take just that and not more? But before we get to the reason, let's first finish the Mishnah. Ketzad, how is that? How does that limitation of how much you can save, how does that work? Noflo dleika beleile Shabbos. Lo leinu the dleika fire broke on Leil Shabbos before the Shabbos meal, so he still has 3 meals to go. Metzilin Mazon Gimel Seudos. Then you're supposed to save, you're allowed to save Mazon just for 3 meals, no extras for the upcoming 3 meals. B'shachris. The fire broke morning after the first meal before the other 2. Metzilin Mazon Beisudos. Then you're allowed to save food for the next 2 meals. B'mincha. Let's say the fire broke between the second and third meal. Mazon Suda Achas. It's very, very easy and understandable. You're always supposed to save just for the amount of meals that are necessary, but not more. In other words, if you are before Shalosh Seudos, you can't save more than the Shalosh Seudos meal, and definitely not to start taking out of your larder all the tuna cans and all the, I don't know, whatever that is, whatever vegetables, all the cereals. No, just what you need for the 3 meals, or whichever one of the 3 meals you're about to face. Only that's allowed. Rabbi Yossi allows more. He does limit, but less. Rabbi Yossi says, always, regardless to which point in Shabbos it happens, you're allowed to save the mazon enough for 3 meals. Why is that limitation? So basically, I'm going to read Rashi inside. No, actually, Rashi does not give us the reason. Rashi is giving us the opposite. So the reason is as follows. We're going to see in the Gemara that, let's just see the Gemara inside. Let's see the Gemara, then I'll tell you the Ritva. Let's just start the Gemara. The Gemara will give us the reason, no reason for me to start philosophizing. Says the Gemara, Michdi be'eter katorach. What he's doing is be'eter katorach. The Gemara will tell us later, the Mishnah will tell us later on, that you're allowed to save the food only to chotzer amoreves, to a proper chotzer, which is l'shut hayachid. Nice. So what's the issue? What's the problem? I'm taking food. Food is not mukta. I'm taking it from l'shut hayachid to l'shut hayachid. Great. So what's the problem? Natzil tvei. Why shall we not save more than just 3 meals? What's the limitation? Omar Rove, says Rove, that's the reason. Mitoch shodom bolol mamoinoi. Since a person in such a situation is bohul, is very nervous, very, engrossed with saving his money, his mamoinoi, if you allow him to do that, he may come to what? He may come to turn off to extinguish the fire. because he'll forget that it's Shabbos. If he will be so much into saving the goods, his property, he'll be so into save one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, one more thing. He'll forget it's Shabbos. He'll be so much into saving this keyhole vision. Let's save as much as possible. He'll forget it's Shabbos. Flames, crazy, saving, 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 saving. This food item, the other one, money. People go crazy. It's a sustenance. It's food. So people just would forget it's Shabbos and would come to extinguish the fire. That's the reason, and that's the reason which stays la halacha. The Ritva asks a question because the Ritva asks a question, and that is, Kibui on Shabbos is the Oraisa or the Rabbanon? Well, it's one of the 39 melachos. I would say the Oraisa. However, Kibui, in most cases, such as in this one, is a melacha she'tzricha lagufa. You're not mechavi in order to have the ashes. You're not producing barbecue coals here. You just will get rid of the fire. Getting rid of a problem is really what? Is enetzricha lagufa, which according to Rab Shimon is only the Rabbanon. And we pass like Rab Shimon, most Rishonim except for the Rambam, maybe some others. So what's the big concern in just the Rabbanon? Says the Ritva, it's true that it's the Rabbanon, but it's a the Rabbanon which is based on the Oraisa. Meaning, to really extinguish the fire is the Oraisa. If you have that in mind, that idea that you have in mind, I'm just going to save it in order to get rid of a problem of fire, that is a Darabonon version of the Doraisa. But it's not a completely Darabonon thing, which means, you know that soon, what is the next Jewish festival coming up? The festival of Hanukkah, festival of lights. Festival of Hanukkah. So Hanukkah is a complete Darabonon establishment. They kivyochel made up a new Chag. It's also a question if they can do that, but they can. That is a pure Darabonon. Some Darabonons are not pure Darabonon. It's really Doraisa, but in that version, it's only also Darabonon. So those Darabonons we treat more b'chumrah. Yeah, look at the Chazon Ish says based on Tosfos that today Shemitah is, although Shemitah today is Darabonon, we treat it as Doraisa because Shemitah originally is Doraisa. Amalei Abaye, comes Abaye and questions Rove, and he asks him, Ella, according to what you're saying, according to your svara, that a person who's too busy saving his own food, and that's why there's a gzera, I'm going to challenge you from another brisa. Hodetanya, Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis, Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis, at the beginning of the Gemara, 4 lines from the beginning of the Gemara. The Tanya, Nishmer Olachavis Boish Gagoy. That's another kind of disaster. Middle of Shabbos, a person has a chavis, a barrel on his roof. Imagine yourself a regular roof, a flat roof. And the chavis, the barrel broke, and the barrel is full of good wine. What can he do? Maybe kli acher. Veikloit is allowed to bring another kli, another vessel, another receptacle, and yikloit. Yikloit means, listen, look what I'm doing. Yikloit, let's say the barrel is here. There's like a stream going like that, like an arch, from the gag, hissing and basically going to there. You're allowed to put a kli over there, away from the gag, it's all inside his Reshut HaYochid. He has a private garden, let's say, He's allowed to put the kli there to accept the wine. Kli acher v'yitzaref. Yitzaref means, let's say there is wine that's just spilling onto the flat roof and dripping onto the wall, is allowed to take a kli, yitzaref, tziruf, and put it next to the wall to accept the wine. Tosfos says that one is a bigger chiddush than the other. Not only allowed to put one which is far away from the gag, which is more visible as you brought a new kli, even the one that's mitzaref, that's less visible, less evident, because it's near the wall, you don't see it as much, that clearly is allowed. So, you're not allowed to do that. In other words, lo yovi kli acher kli acher v'tzaref, which means you're allowed to bring one kli only. You're allowed to bring one kli, one vessel only, but don't bring not even one more. Whichever version, this way, that way, you are limited to bringing one kli only and put it underneath the chavis. Don't start bringing extra kelim. And the question is, also, my gzera ika. It seems very similar. Both are Mishnah to do with fire, and that brisa to do with the breaking, with the broken chavis, with the wine dripping, the wine gushing out or dripping out. In both cases, you limit. Why the limitation over there? Nobody's going to extinguish fire. If you're telling me the Isser is to extinguish fire, right? What would you going to say over there? There's no fire over there. What's it going to do? Answers the Gemara, Hachinami, there too, Gzera Shem Yovi Kli Derech Reshus Harabim. There's a Gzera that you may come to bring more and more Kelim. You'll eventually forget that it's Shabbos. Says Rashi, Mechazer al Kelim Harbe. You have good few gallons or liters of wine in that very fancy wine. You worked on it for years, or you bought it for thousands. A big barrel of wine. Wine is fancy. People attach to wine. And now, if I have one kli, I know I'm limited to one kli. Maybe I can re-empty it. That's another shaila. But if I start bringing more and more kelim from my house, I'll run out of kelim, and then I'll start forgetting that it's Shabbos, and I'll bring kli from other places through Rosh Hashanah. That's a red line. Through Rosh Hashanah, it's Issur D'Oraisa, and that we don't do. So the truth is, they do share a common denominator. Rov is right. Rov is the winner here, right? Over here, you may forget it's Shabbos, you'll lose your head. You'll forget it's Shabbos, you'll come to extinguish. And then you're going to lose your head, and you'll come, what we'll do then? You'll transfer through Rosh Hashanah. That's a problem. Okay, same problem. Gufa, let's delve into that very same Mishnah. Let's revisit the same Mishnah that we mentioned before. Nishbar lechavis beroish gagoy. Yeah, same story. A person has a roof, and on top of the roof he has a barrel of wine, and the barrel of wine cracks open and broke in the middle of Shabbos. Maybe kli umeniach tachtea. You're allowed to bring a kli and put it underneath. Good. Aval ubilvad shelo yavi kli acher v'ikloit kli acher v'yitzaref. Don't bring another kli in order to save more wine. Yeah, the wine is gushing is from all over. There's too much wine running out, spilling all over. Don't bring one more kli, just one kli. Not another one, not this way, not that way. Limit yourself to one kli only. However, here comes a kula. Nizdamen loy orchin. Let's say that he has orchim. Let's say he wants to invite people for Shabbos, and really, honestly, he has more people coming for the Shabbos meal. Maybe kli acher v'koilet, kli acher v'mitzaref. In other words, if he knows that he has more people coming for the Shabbos meal, then he is allowed to add more kelim to accept more wine, to receive more wine in relation to the amount of orchim. I assume it doesn't say it. As we'll see later, yeah, you have 10 guests coming, I'll have more wine, enough for the 10 guests that I'm having for Shabbos. However, maybe I can play games now. Maybe he doesn't want to lose the wine. Maybe he'll become very magnanimous and a big machnisochim. Avraham Avinu, this week's parsha. Maybe he's going now to invite a lot of guests, right?
While this Leica is playing around.
Not Leica, while the wine is spilling out. Oh, he really wants to save the wine. Oh. V'lo ikloit v'achar kach yazmin. Don't say, okay, I'm going to get a lot of kelim, and then I'll invite guests, Let me just, bring 20 more kelim from all over the place, and I will make sure I'll have guests later, yeah, for the wine, yeah, to be saved for them. Working the wrong way around. I'll save the wine and then invite the guests. That doesn't work. No, don't play games. First, invite the guests, yeah, right? And then yikloit. So could be you can invite the guest once you see the crack open. It sounds like that, right? Look at the words. Yasmin v'achar kach yikloit. You can invite guests. You see the thing cracking open. Oy, oy, oy. So before you bring the kelim, make sure you really have guests, right? And then be koilet with the amount of guests that are enough, that are sufficient for that. Yeah, I know that my guests like wine. I'm going to invite them for a drinking party on Shabbos for a very big kiddush, a lot of wine. I see it's cracking open. I don't know if that's halacha, but that it sounds like from the words of the Brisa. Yeah. So Yasmin, make sure send your kids all over the neighborhood to invite everybody to a wine party. It's not leika while the wine is spilling, right? And then once you get a yes RSVP that they're coming, then you can bring more and more kelim to be koilet. And on top of that, it said, yeah, good, you understand? The ein marim in bekach, but you're not allowed to do haroma. Don't basically play a pretext. Don't do anything sly, any kind of, loophole. What do you mean in marimin? Listen to Rashi. In marimin bekach, a few lines above where we are. Lezamin orchim she'ena tzrichim lechol v'yosiru. Oh. Let's say you invite what? You invite guests, but you know that these guests are not going to eat, or in the case of wine, they're not going to drink, and you're malim. In other words, you invite 10 guests which are not amazing wine drinkers. They say, oh, I have 10 guests, but maybe they'll drink a lot, those 10 guests, and for that, I'm saving a barrel containing, I don't know, 100 liters, and I bring more and more kelim. That you cannot do. Yeah, don't play games with that. You should only invite, let's say, 10 guests. Each one have one cup of wine. In accordance to that, you can save the wine. But don't play games of inviting too little guests with too much wine and serve them the wine, knowing very, very well that most of the wine will stay with you, right? That's aroma. Don't create a situation of I'm inviting people and they will come, and I know that they'll say, "Oh, thank you so much. I'm a teetotal." And most of it will stay there for you. And that's exactly what you wanted. Don't do that. That's aroma. Aroma. That's like, playing games. That's playing sly games. It's a pretext. Don't do that. And that is what the Nakama says. Listen to this. Mishum Rabbi Yosef bar Yehuda amu ma'arimin. On behalf of Rabbi Yosef bar Yehuda, there are Tanoim quoting Rabbi Yosef bar Yehuda saying, you are to be marim. You're allowed to be marim. Yes, you are allowed to. You're allowed to. In other words, since that's Xer Rabbanon, right? Rabbanon say, listen, we are the ones who invented the Xera of limiting the amount of vessels that you bring. Why? Because maybe you'll run to Rosh Hashanah. Maybe you'll forget it's Shabbos. We also allow you that as long as they're not in your face, as long as the Xera is not mamish, broken in a very direct, brazen way, you just are not exactly doing the right thing, but you're not doing the wrong thing either. In other words, you're inviting guests. Yeah, and you're saving more wine than the guests will really want, that's still okay. Why is it aroma? Why are you playing games? The same people who invented the halacha and the rabbanon, they tell you allowed to be married. No problem. Yeah. Okay. I once lived in a town and they told me, I know we are the area and we allow you to, I'm not saying that should be done. People that told me, we are the people of the area and we're telling you so and so. Yeah, they're the one who basically made up the laws. It was a small town, and that's the way it was there. Yes, Rabbi Yosef Rabbi agrees with everything. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi says marimin. Yeah, Rabbi Yosef Rabbi says it's not. You're not allowed to. Right. You also lichoyer. You can't invite the guests. Lichoyer. I don't know. I haven't seen the Rishonim here. Didn't have much time to prepare today. Lichoyer. If you'd medaik in Rashi, Rabbi Yosef Rabbi agrees that you can't take the wine and then invite guests. I think. Marimin was only in the point of you can invite guests, but maybe not enough guests. Yeah. You'll invite guests knowing that they'll politely decline and say, I don't drink so much. Yeah, that's what it seems like. That's what it seems like. You're allowed to be mazmin orchim that don't need to eat so much. Zok the Gemore, Lema, let us say, beplukta der Belezer or Bishur kamiflagi. Lechoira, we saw here machloikis between two Tanoim. Tanakama says, Ein marimin. Rabbi Yosef says marimin. It looks like the same machloikis exactly is the machloikis between Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Yeshua. What's the machloikis over there? The Tanya, it's a Bais and Beitza. And before we continue, let's just refresh our memories. We know that there's a halacha of oisaves b'noi. It's a very misleading halacha because it's really oisaves b'no. Yeah, you're not allowed to shecht a behema and the son of the behema on the same day, right? Okay, the mother and the baby, you're not allowed to shecht oisaves b'no. Mother and a baby of obviously a cow, sheep, goat, whatever you shecht, deer, whatever. You can't shecht on the same day the mother and the son. It says the Gemara says it's really mother and son. Don't shecht mother and son the same day. Okay, very nice. So if it's a regular weekday, okay, it's Wednesday. Make sure you don't shecht mother and son the same day. Nice. Keep track, keep tabs. Very good. Now, what about the Yom Tov? Are you allowed to shecht on Yom Tov? Yes. Are you allowed to shecht on Yom Tov many behemoths? Yes, as much as I need for Yom Tov. Now listen to the following story. Mother and son, yeah, they fell into the pit. They fell into a pit. Lo aleinu miskinim. Now, if they keep staying in the pit the whole time, we're not discussing Natsar Ba'alechaim. We will later. Right now, the concern is that I need to eat. I need to eat on Yom Tov, and maybe I'm not going to eat two animals on Yom Tov. You know, how much people do you think I host? But if I leave one of the animals in the boar, in the pit, it's going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll be able to feed it, maybe not. Maybe it'll become treifa. I don't know what's going to happen. I want, regardless of shechita, that's important to know. I, as the owner of these very expensive animals, this cow and baby cow, this whatever, I want them both. My interest, mitzad, my physical yetzer hora, maybe interest is I want them both to be safe and sound, to be good, to be kosher, to be available, not to die, or not to be injured. Now the problem is I'm not allowed to shecht both of them the same day. That's a very big conundrum over here. I can't just save them because I feel like, because the only reason you're allowed to touch an animal on Yom Tov and not on Shabbos and start moving it around, you can't move animals on Shabbos. Why are you allowed to start moving and doing things to animal on Yom Tov? Because it's food. But animal, exactly, ochel nefesh, an animal that's out of bounds, out of touch when it comes to shechting, you can't do anything with it on Yom Tov. The last Mishnah in Beitza, everybody knows that because that's in the Siyumim, right? Those animals who stay, right? The animals in the field who come home once a year, and they came in the middle of Yom Tov. You can't do anything to them because they're muktzah. Yeah, they're not on your mind. Yeah, you can't stop shecht an animal. It has to be an animal which is shaykh to shecht. Otherwise, no. So now you have the son and you have a mother and son who fell into the bore. You can't just say, okay, let's pull one, let's pull the other. Once you pulled one, once you pulled one, then that will be the one you're going to eat. Or shecht. The one underneath, either the son or the mother, are not allowed to be shechted. So you can't move them. But I want to take them out. Well, tough, mister. You want many things. The first one, either the young or the old, bring it up from their bow. It's also tircha and muktzah, a lot of problems here. Pick it up, bring it up from the bow in order to shecht it, and eventually you will today. What about the second one? Vasheni, the second one? Do what you can. Throw, make parnasa to it. Throw down the pit to the other one, young or old, parnasa, whatever it eats. Hay, stack, whatever they eat, animal food. Throw it fodder, it shouldn't die. There's nothing else you can do. You're allowed to feed animals in Yom Tov because they're your own, right? Also on Shabbos. In other words, there's no solution. The one that you shecht, meaning he does not allow ha'aromo. I'm preparing you. No games, no shtick. You have one. You can shecht. Eventually you'll shecht it when shechita time comes. What about the one underneath? You can't. Because you can't shecht it. If you can't shecht it, you can't move it around. So what do you do? Oh, the poor animal. I know the poor animal. So throw food down the pit and feed it throughout Yom Tov. Matzah Yom Tov, get the rescue team again. That's the first opinion of Rabbi Lezer, which does not believe in, excuse my language, kivyachol shtikmacher. Rabbi Yeshua, no. Rabbi Yeshua says I have a good aroma, and it's not shtik; it's a kosher aroma. What does Rabbi Yeshua say? You're allowed to bring the first one in order to shecht it. The eno shoichto, but you don't shecht it yet. Uma'arim, you find aroma. Says Rashi. What does he do? You look at the one that was already saved, and you say, actually, I don't know if that's the one I want to shecht. Maybe the one underneath is nicer. Yeah. In other words, I kind of regret wanting to shecht it, and I say, well, who says I have to shecht the first one? Maybe I can shecht the second one. Maybe the second one in the pit is nicer and juicier, and I dafka want that. Because the second one now became a candidate for shechita, maybe I'll do the second one. Now both of them are out of the pit. Looks like Rabbi Shua says, okay, at the end of the day, I have both animals at my choice, my menu, I'll shecht either this or that. So with the harama of saying, after saving the first one, I'm saying about the second one, actually I want the second one. According to Shua, that's kosher. Why? Chazal, whenever guys are on that, the same Chazal who invented muktzah and tircha, whichever problem there is for the animal, they also told you that if you do it in such a kind of round the bush kind of way, it's okay. So l'chayra, it's the same machlekes. Let's summarize. L'chayra trying to make your shidduch between Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Yeshua to the Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. Right? That's why. one group of Tanoim hold of Haroma, the other one say no, Haroma doesn't go, right? They want to go straight, 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 and the other one say no, you can do things in an roundabout way. So the we're connecting the two. Zog the Gemara, no, the Gemara now wants to break the comparison. It's not so good. The two groups of Tanoim will argue exactly the same way, right? Because then, yeah, l'choiro, what's a chiddush? Yeah, why do they have to repeat the same? Yeah, the same idea. So the Gemara, mimai, how do you know? Dilma, it's not necessarily connected. We're going now to find two differences between the two cases. The case of the broken barrel of the wine and the two animals that fell into the pit. We're going now to disengage them, find clear differences between them. Ad kanokom Rabbi could be the Rabbi over there in the case of the kitty and the mother. Maybe then Rabbi was machmir, hosam only over there. The efshar bepornoso. Over there is a normal good way out. What maybe Rabbi Lezer does believe in aroma. When it comes to wine, oy vavoy, yeah. Aval hocho deloy efshar loy. Here, in the case of the wine, I'm starting from the end. In the case of wine, the wine's going to spill, yeah. If I'm not going to do aroma, yeah, I really do only have 10 people around that are willing to come to me for Shabbos lunch for the wine party and have a lot of wine. The wine, good expensive wine, is going to spill and spoil, right? Will end up on a thick pavement, right? So maybe in such dire situation, maybe Lezer would allow Mashenkin would allow aroma in the wine because really there is no other way. Mashenkin over here with the goat with the animal. Parnasa, what's the problem? Why are you so nervous? Why are you making shtick in order to pull up and pull out the other one? Give him parnasa. Yeah, it says here you can throw him food, right? Throw him the food that he wants. Even throwing some cushions, it says somewhere else, and fine. He'll be comfortable, he'll be okay over there. Yeah, maybe trefa will happen, maybe, but the pashtus, there is a solution. Yeah, you're not for sure losing it. Not for sure losing it. Give it food and we'll be okay. The Adkan, and on the other hand, now the other difference on the other side of Rabbi Yeshua, the Adkan lokom Rabbi Yeshua Hossam could be the other way around. Regarding Rabbi Yeshua, we're also disengaging Rabbi Yeshua in the two stories. Why? Hossam mishum deikat tzar ba'alechaim. Oh, avalach deikat tzar ba'alechaim loy. In other words, for the animal to be in that pit is not so pleasant. Even if you give it food, it's not exactly what the animal wants to do. Imagine yourself Shavuos, a long Yom Tov. Yeah, poor animal will be there the whole time. And besides your own egoistic idea of losing the parnoso, there's also tzar ba'alechaim. The animal's not having fun by being in that pit, even if it has food. You want to be the pit. Would you? And I sound like an animal lover. Yeah, would you like to be stuck in a pit the whole Shavuos? And they're going to throw you cheesecakes? I don't think so, right? And a safer? No, you wouldn't be. So don't do that to the animal either. And therefore, there he allows aroma. Mashenkin over here is just wine. Wine is only about parnasa without tzar ba'alechaim. Maybe because you only have one factor here of parnasa, you don't have the factor of tzar ba'alechaim. That doesn't justify it. Over there, you have two things. I may be losing the animal. He may eventually not manage there, and there's tzar ba'alechaim. Therefore, over there, he allows it. Yeah, or maybe even just tzar ba'alechaim without losing. That could also be. That alone could be enough of a halachic value to tell you to take out the animal even with aroma. Now more on the same subject of what you said. Oh, Akiva, now you should be happy. Now we're back to the burning house. Yeah, we're done with a broken barrel. Now we're back to the broken house. We're learning today till 9. Yeah? Hitzil pas nekia. This has to do also a little bit what we spoke about. Let's say the person, how many breads do you have each meal? We have 2 breads. The guy has a lot of bread. Baruch Hashem chalas. Hitzil pas nekia. For the 3 meals, he managed to save 3 sets of enough bread from the nice nekia, from the good, high quality, clean bread. En matzil pas hidro. Pas hidro is pas keva. Rashi says shenital hadoro. The hadar, the beauty of it was taken. He has a class B, not such nice. Those challahs from the freezer from half a year ago, right? Yeah. Now those not so nice fresh ones. I'm talking about today's terms. So if you save the very pas nekia enough for the entire Shabbos, There's no reason for you now to save more bread if that bread is low class. Of course not. You may even ask what's the chiddush. Now you'll see what's the chiddush. Pasidro matzil pas nekiyo. Oh, that's a chiddush. Let's say you save the not such nice bread, and you're outside the house and there's fire starting there. You are allowed to take the nicer bread, similar to the story of the two animals. And this is honest. I first of all save the pasadro, the bad one, and I say, hey, that's bad bread. I don't like that. I really want to save the nicer bread. The nicer bread, which is the lechatchila, the white, fresh vishnitz challah, that I really want to have this Shabbos to sink my teeth into it. Now I'm going to save that. I don't know if you're allowed to do it lechatchila. That's not written, right? He said, still pasadro, but yevid. Are you allowed to plan it that way? To first have the pasadro on purpose, in knowing that now I'll be able to also save the good one? I don't know. I'm going to check that in halacha bli neder, let you know. Yeah, or you can check it yourselves. But if it happens to be you save the bad one, you're allowed not to save the good one because it's honest truth. I'm not going to have that bad one. I'm going to have the good one. What about the bad one? Once I saved it, I can have it tomorrow for the sandwiches for the kids. Oh, l'chor lefi Rabbi Yoshua, you would possibly be able to, right? I'm not sure. It could be, but there's no tzal by the chaim. It's a shayla. What?
What's this?
Yeah. Continues the brayso. Now, you're allowed to save from Shabbos to the very same Shabbos, right? Clearly, I can't save from Shabbos to a weekday. That's also. Yeah, that's clear. You can. That's even worse. Yeah, let's say I'm going to say, I want to save now food for today and for the who knows how long they're going to live, out of the house, needing someone else's favors. But Lamaisa, even though that's true, you can't save beyond that particular Shabbos. You can't save more food. Now, let's talk about other relationship between other holy days. Umatzilin Yom Kippurim l'Shabbos. Let's say Yom Kippur is on Friday, which today would never happen, but used to happen, right? Let's say Yom Kippur, you save from Yom Kippur, you're allowed to save Yom Kippur l'Shabbos. Fire broke on Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, it's not accepted to eat on Yom Kippur, not accepted to eat on Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, you save for Shabbos, because let's say Motzi Yom Kippur is Shabbos. When will I bake bread? When will I buy bread? Then of course I'm allowed to say from Kippur to Shabbos. Avaloni Shabbos leYom Kippurim. Oh, you can't say from Shabbos to Yom Kippur. What do you mean? Of course, Yom Kippur people don't eat. Says Rashi, Kigodim Yom Kippur leUrta. You can't say from Shabbos to Motzei Yom Kippur. You can't say from Shabbos to Motzei Yom Kippur. Why not? Because once it's Motzei Yom Kippur, you can already manage. Taisa says Mitzvah lechel b'Motzei Yom Kippurim. Yeah, inami lo mekuprim atzma lachat tinoikis. Toises is bothered, but what's the chiddush? I just read it quickly. The Toises, the third Toises from the bottom of the page. Toises says Yom Kippur either means the Motzei Yom Kippur. Yeah, the chiddush is even though there's a mitzvah to eat on Motzei Yom Kippur. As Toises, by the way, I didn't read you that Toises at the end of Edu Kshorim. Yeah, Kufi Dalad Mud Beis. Toises brings a very nice rhyme over there from one of the Paitonim that says you're allowed to, it's a mitzvah to eat the Motzei Yom Kippur. We know that, right? So maybe one should say from Shabbos to Motzei Yom Kippur. Shabbos is Shabbos, yeah, Motzei Yom Kippur is Sunday night. No, you can't say, it's still called Chol. Motzei Yom Kippur, what will you do? Ask neighbors, bake canoa, manage, yeah. Or even for the children to eat on Yom Kippur, you can't say from Shabbos to Yom Kippur. That's a bigger chiddush. What will you do? Manage. Also, Shabbos is holier than Yom Kippur at the end of the day. You know that too, right? Because Shabbos is Chiv Skila and Yom Kippur is not. We also spoke about the Korbanos, right? The Korban of Shabbos, you can't burn on Yom Kippur. Maybe it's a similar idea. Then Tzarich Loimer Shabbos LeYom Tov. From Shabbos LeYom Tov, for sure, you can't save. Why? On Yom Tov, you're allowed to bake. Go to your neighbor and bake over there. Yom Tov, you're allowed to bake. Shabbos LeShabbos Haba. From one Shabbos to the other, from Shabbos Pashas Bereshit to Shabbos Noyach, you can't save because you have a whole week to get yourself, to arrange yourself, make yourself ready. Tono Abonon. Shachach Pas Betanu. Oh, that's a famous one which we saw before. We saw at the beginning of the Masechta. Yeah, it started 7:15, 8:15, going till 9 o'clock. Tono Abonon. Yeah, Shachach Pas Betanu. Oh, what happens if the person forgot to pass in the Tanu Friday afternoon? Oopa. Yeah, the man or woman, what did they do? The pass, remember, pass back then In the tanur, you had like you have in Me'ashorim in many places, like the matzah bakeries. The tanur is something like a dome, and inside you stick the pita. The inner wall of the tanur, yeah, is where you stick the dough. That's how they used to make bread. Okay, that's important to know. You forgot the tanur, and what happens? V'kiddush olavayoim. She lit candles. Oh, I forgot the bread in the tanur. Opa. So then, what will you do? If you don't scrape it off on Shabbos, then what's going to happen? It's going to burn. It's going to stay there and burn. She didn't turn off the electricity or the fire. Yeah, it keeps baking and over baking and heating, and it's going to come out to be ashes at the end of the day. So what are you allowed to do? Matzilin mazon shalosh seudos. You're allowed to save only three seudos. Three seudos you can save, and not more than that. Why is there an issue of taking more? Right? Okay, that could be a question. You can't just take the bread out of the oven. I don't know, 30 pieces of bread, 30 loaves of bread. It's limited to shalosh seudos. Oh, ve'omer lacherim bo vatzilu lochem. And you're also allowed to tell others, go and say for yourselves, I'm not going to get more than shalosh seudos, but at the end of the day, maybe the bread shouldn't just go baltashkis. So I'm telling the neighbors, come, save for yourselves, and take the bread out of the tanur. Why? Why? What's the problem of taking bread out of the tanur? It's a problem. Why? Oh, when you like remove as scraping off the bread, the baked bread off the tanner, and it's still stuck to the wall. You can't kind of unglue it with a marde. Marde is a special kli, like a spade, special kli that they had, like they have in the matzah bakery, right? They have like a special kli to scrape off the bread in a nice professional way. And it was like a hard thing to do. Not everyone knows how to do it. And he makes sure that we know that the bread will stay intact. Don't take it out like that. Ela besakin. You should use something not as professional. Use the sakin, use the knife. Okay. And therefore, yeah, this is something which ideally should not be done. And if you do it, you should do it with a sakin. Obviously, the question is why? Why can't we do it the good, normal way? And what's the big limitation? By the way, regarding the limitation, there could be other answers. I'm kind of giving a disclaimer now. Why it's limited to three seudas, that's another issue, which, I'm going to see in the Rishonim and discuss with you. Right now, we're discussing the form. The way that the bread should be scraped off, taken out, is not the normal, nice, professional way, but the lopsided, not so good way with a knife. Eini, what's wrong? Frank the Gemara, Vatana Dever Bishmol, says in the Braisa, Bishmol says, Lo tase kol malacha, right? You're not allowed to do malacha on Shabbos. What's malacha? Malacha. Malacha means when there's a real good osir result. You're not allowed to do something that results in a malacha. Yotzot kiyas shoifer verdias apas. Oh, shichochma ben malacha. In other words, it says outright mefurish that kiyas shoifer, yeah, kiyas shoifer, which is blowing the shofar, redias apas is a chochma ben malacha, which means both blowing shofar and redias apas. It's as if the Torah is telling me mefurish. Although it's a chokhmah, it's a skill, and it's hard to do. Not everyone knows how to blow the shofar, and not everybody knows how to be roide, how to take out the pass. And yet the Torah is miramis to us in a drosha that since it's not malacha but just the chokhmah, it's a skill. It requires intelligence and skill. It's mutter to do. So at the end of the day, if the Torah allows it, why are you not allowed to do it and you're only doing it with a sakin? Yeah. Now, Toysus points out that, look at the last Toysus before the answer, the Kevin de Medoraisa Sharia, Africa de Rabbanon Asira. Oh, we know the Rabbanon don't allow you to play music. It brings down a Gemara over there in Rosh Hashanah. You're not allowed to blow shofar first time. Women can't do it. So the question is, doesn't the Gemara know the Rabbanon forbade me from blowing shofar because you may come to be matkin kli? And also, why aren't you allowed to scrape off this? Because it's uvda dechol. It's too professional. Things that are not professionally done, you're not allowed to do. So why is the Gemara claiming I should be able to do it? The Gemara says because this is for good cause of the three meals. Maybe, it's more the three meals. Yeah, this is Shabbos. And Shabbos don't say Chol Nefesh. But Gimel Sudas, maybe that's allowed. Answers the Gemara. maybe that should override the Isur D'Rabbanon to allow me to have my 3 meals. Zog the Gemara, "Kamadev shel shnui mishaninan." Still, it's better to change as much as you can. Why? The whole idea of, I'm not with Kiyas Shofar, the whole idea of Uvda Dechol is, Uvda Dechol means to do something in a very good professional concert, to concentrate and invest in the malacha. Even in something that's smoother, you're not allowed to do too professionally. We can talk about it for hours, but we don't have time now. But if you do it in an unprofessional way, in a nice, instead of a mirda, maybe the bread won't come out so nice, not so well, clicking out, because it's done in an unprofessional way, that's allowed. And even in the price of the shalosh seudas, only in an unprofessional way allowed to do it, because that's not uvda dechol. Baruch Hashem, it's a very good place to stop. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, we're studying Omar of Chizda about preparing for Shabbos. Shkoyach, kol hakavod for coming to Shabbos. Very nice. Not simple, I know. Pshi. What attendance. Shkoyach, thank you to people on Torah anytime. People on Torah and YouTube. People who, thank you for Ma'am Loez for hosting this year. Shkoyach, and have a